The NATO mirage, why the Atlantic Alliance exists only on paper, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that vaunted cornerstone of Western security, is fundamentally a bureaucratic fiction, a meme that has outlived its Cold War purpose and now stumbles through the motions of collective defense without the capacity to deliver. The Alliance's largest military exercise since the Cold War, Steadfast Defender 24, inadvertently proved what critics have long suspected. NATO is less a military alliance than a diplomatic theatre company, performing security rather than providing it, the infrastructure of illusion. Consider the Suwalki Gap, NATO's supposed Achilles heel, a 40 to 60 mile corridor connecting Poland to the Baltic states. Here, the alliance's paper promises collide with physical reality. NATO rail convoys from Western Europe grind to a halt at Sastakai transshipment yard because the Baltics use Russian gauge railways while Europe uses standard gauge. In NATO's most vulnerable choke point, forces must waste precious hours transferring equipment between incompatible rail systems. More absurdly, Lithuania still operates its locomotives using the Russian club U-control system, theoretically allowing Moscow to remotely commandeer NATO's own supply trains. The situation in Germany, NATO's central logistics hub, borders on farce. According to retired US General Ben Hodges, Germany can simultaneously transport exactly 1.5 armored brigades. When NATO doctrine requires moving 8 to 10 brigades for credible deterrence, Deutsche Bahn needs 297 billion euros just for bridge repairs, with roughly 1,000 bridges in North Rhine. Westphalia alone unable to support modern military vehicles. The Leopard 2 tank, weighing over 60 tons, cannot cross many German bridges that were built for a different era. During the winter of 2022 to 2023, US ammunition shipments to Ukraine sat stranded in German depots due to a contract dispute with Deutsche Bahn. The American military ultimately abandoned the railway entirely, chartering ships instead. A preview of NATO's paralysis in actual conflict, the arithmetic of NATO's ammunition crisis reveals the alliance's hollow core. Russia produces 4.5 million artillery rounds annually. NATO manages between 550,000 and 1 million, depending on whose inflated estimates you believe. As NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte admitted in June 2024, Russia produces in 3 months what the entire alliance manufactures in a year. Ukraine currently needs 200,000 shells monthly, but receives a fraction of that requirement. The US has already approached its red line of strategic reserves after providing 2 million rounds. A single TNT factory in Poland serves all of Europe. At current production rates, NAMO, as estimates, it would take 40 years to replenish depleted national stockpiles. The cost differential compounds the crisis. Russian 152mm shells cost $1,000 each, while NATO's 155mm rounds run $4,000, a forward disadvantage in any war of attrition. Exercises in self-deception, Steadfast Defender 24, touted as NATO's largest exercise since the Cold War, deployed 90,000 troops, less than 3% of the alliance's total personnel. This was a peacetime exercise with months of advanced planning, cooperative civilian authorities, predetermined routes, and zero enemy interference. Yet it still revealed challenges in sustainment logistics and the integration of newer technology platforms. According to NATO's own after-action reports, the Alliance's Logistics Committee convened emergency meetings in November 2024 to address the lessons learned, diplomatic code for systemic failures. Compare this to Russia's Zapad 2021 exercise, which mobilized 200,000 troops while claiming only 12,800 participants. That exercise served as a dress rehearsal for the Ukraine invasion 5 months later. While NATO struggles to move forces between friendly nations in peacetime, Russia demonstrates the capacity for strategic deception and large-scale deployment under the pretense of routine training. Article 5, the ultimate meme. Article 5 SAS promise that an attack on one is an attack on all contains a fatal caveat. Each member will assist with such action as it deems necessary. Not military action, just action deemed necessary. This might mean strongly worded letters, thoughts and prayers, or sanctioning the already sanctioned. The Baltic states understand this reality, which explains their desperate infrastructure investments and bilateral arrangements with the United States. Trump's crude transactionalism. You didn't pay, you're delinquent. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. Merely articulated what European leaders know but cannot say. NATO is a protection racket without protection, demanding payment for a service it cannot render. European nations have structured their welfare states around American security guarantees that exist primarily in PowerPoint presentations and summit communiques. The multipolar reality, NATO's fundamental problem isn't merely technical or logistical, it's existential. The alliance operates on Cold War logic in a multipolar world where members have divergent threat perceptions and economic entanglements. Germany depends on Chinese markets and enjoys Russian energy. Turkey views Kurdish forces, not Russia, as its primary threat. France pursues strategic autonomy while demanding American security guarantees. These aren't bugs in the system, they're features of an alliance that mistakes diplomatic consensus for military capability. The alliance cannot even sustain Ukraine's defense against Russia, a single regional power fighting with Soviet-era equipment and tactics. If NATO cannot sufficient ammunition to Ukraine, cannot move forces across friendly European territory without bureaucratic paralysis, and cannot maintain basic infrastructure for military logistics, what exactly does membership guarantee beyond inclusion in photo opportunities? NATO exists as a diplomatic framework, a forum for transatlantic consultation, and a jobs program for bureaucrats in Brussels. As a military alliance capable of collective defense against peer competitors, it is a paper tiger, impressive in conferences and communiques, but lacking the industrial base, infrastructure, and political will to fight a sustained conflict. The emperor has no clothes, but the imperial court continues its elaborate ceremonies, pretending that strongly. Worded statements and annual exercises constitute deterrence. In the end, NATO's security guarantee is worth exactly what it's printed on: paper,